I dare you to hit it.
He'll be sorry.
Boy, a bigger bat. Want the heater? I'll give it to you.
Pick up a basketball, maybe then I'll hit it.
A swing and a drive to deep right.
Clear the deck. Cannonball coming.
Left field. It is out of here.
What up? What's good? Baseball Unstitched. We are back another week, and if you were on YouTube, another screen full of faces here on Baseball Unstitched. Jackson is back once again for the second week in a row. Guys, we got a good show for you today. As always, still running down the Baseball Unstitched 2026 MLB Draft Big Board. Today, we will be going through our number 20 through number 11 ranked prospects as we inch ever closer to the MLB Draft. Jackson has a bullpen for us today. And then next after that, we will be talking about Byron Buxton, who Flax has been so excited to remind everybody how amazing this guy is. 25 home runs already on the year for Byron Buxton, and he should be on your AL MVP watch. And we'll talk a little bit more about why here shortly. But let's start where we always start. Flax and Jackson, how was your weekend?
Jackson, I'm taking it this time because this weekend I finally started a game on the mound again for the first time in what feels like a long time. I went 7 innings, 11 Ks, 2 walks, 3 earned runs, so another quality start. Our team won in walk-off fashion, a walk-off base hit. There were only 10 of us, so you can imagine the excitement level was only so high. But it was an exciting weekend around that. And I played a couple rounds of golf, which was nice, as always. Jackson, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Me and my dad had a baseball card show in Knoxville. It was the first time that we've gone to one and sold.
Nice.
Like had our own table, had our own
Heck
card.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
It went really good. We made some good money. We also bought a Connor Griffin card off a kid, which was nice. We would add that to the collection, but we sold a bunch of our older cards. So yeah, it went good. It was our first show together, like working it. I think we're doing another one in like 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah.
Wait, so when you told us that you were going to a card show, I didn't realize you guys had your own table and were selling.
Yeah.
Do you have like a name for yourselves? Do you put like a banner up?
No, we just have, I think we have 3 cases of cards and then a couple boxes. Like, we mainly collect old stuff that's already graded.
Okay.
So, like, older, more expensive-ish cards. Mainly baseball, some basketball and football, but it went really good. Had a bunch of people liked our stuff a lot, so, yeah.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so my weekend was your guys' weekend combined. I
Okay.
also went to a card show this weekend and was buying stuff for myself. And then I also played in the baseball game that Flax was talking about.
Ryan had a very good day at the plate in the baseball game. I want that to be known.
The one kicker from the baseball game that I'll talk about, and then I will move on, is the fact that I did have a chance to potentially walk the game off, and they intentionally walked me. So Jackson, that's the kind of day I was having.
They did. Yeah. First pitch. He was first and second in the bottom of the 9th. I let off with a single, and then the next guy behind me walked. And then, so it's first and second. First pitch Ryan got almost hit him. Went to the backstop, so then it was second and third. And the third baseman was very confused why you were going to first base. He was like, that didn't hit him, did it? I was like, no. And he's like, why is he going to first? I was like, they intentionally walked him. I was like, and the guy was like, really? I was like, well, he's 3 for 3 today. He just hit line drives into the outfield all day. I mean, I don't know. They threw the same guy the entire game, Jackson. Saw a guy for 9 innings. Ryan and I got five opportunities to see the guy.
And we had I think 6 hits between us. But you guys aren't here to hear about our men's league adventures. We had a good day between Flax and I. Won the game. That team has intentionally walked me twice now in bottom of the 9th inning situations. So thanks for the respect. I'd like to hit next time. Moving right along, though, to what you guys came here for. This week in baseball, guys, we're going to run through the top 2 guys or the players of the week from last week. Let's start in the AL here with maybe the hottest hitter on the entire planet in Junior Caminero. Last week, 423, 500, 1231 slug. That's a slug for anybody curious. 7 home runs, 15 RBIs. The only guy in Major League Baseball who has a over 1,000 OPS since the start of May.
I mean, Yeah, he's blasting the baseball. He already, hits the ball hard and all over the field. I think what's even crazier is if you look at the numbers from May 1st onwards, it's not like the power has been insane, but he has 7 home runs in the last 6 games. It really juiced up this week specifically. He had 1 game with 3 home runs. He's had 4 games in a row with home runs. I wouldn't be surprised if he hit a home run tonight, tomorrow, whenever they play next. When this guy gets going and he starts feeling it, it's over for everybody else. Got a 172 WRC plus in that time frame. The best third baseman in baseball and should be the AL starting third baseman for the All-Star game. Sorry.
100%. He's going to be right in that AL MVP discussion. Yeah. As we're going to talk about later with Byron Buxton, who's also going to be in it, but Junior Caminero is having a pretty insane year so far.
Yeah.
Look, there's nothing else I could say, so Flax, tell us who the NL guy is.
Yeah, NL Player of the Week has been torching everyone. Luis Garcia Jr. from the Nats, from the best offensive team in baseball. Shocker to nobody, they have an NL Player of the Week. Slashing .526, .591, slugging .1579, 1,579. 6 home runs, 9 RBIs, 11 home runs in the month of June, second in all of baseball. And notably, both of these guys were the only players this week to collect a full win above replacement. What do you got, Ryan?
Look, I got to give a lot of credit to the way the offense is being run, and I think that the front office, in combination with Butera and his staff, have just done a really good job of putting these guys in great situations. Garcia's been a heavy, strong side platoon this year, playing first base or DHing in the right scenarios. And guess what he's doing? Blasting right-handed pitching. It's been awesome to see. He is getting it more at-bats against lefties at the current moment because he's so hot, which, again, I have an appreciation and respect for that, of when you know your guys are going, let's get them in there and continue that flow at the end of the day. Just been really, really impressed what I've seen from Luis Garcia. Talk about a guy who was rushed up to the big league level due to COVID and things of that nature. I mean, he's been playing Major League Baseball since he was a young 20-year-old, late 19-year-old due to COVID. So, look, only thing I got is, as good as this offense is and as fun as all of this has been as Nats fans, guys like Luis Garcia, who do not have nearly as much time of control left, are probably going to be guys you see moved at the deadline, and the hotter he is, the more the Nats could get back.
Yeah, and this is just a guy who has really developed and learned how to hit for power as he has come through, as he's played for a while. Like, he's just 26, as Ryan said. He's been playing this is his 7th big league season already, and we've just seen his power numbers tick up and up and up every year. We're kind of finally seeing his final form, I guess you could say, and it's going to be interesting to see where he's going to be playing at in August.
His final form. This is as good as it gets for Jackson.
I got one for you. If they give this man that short porch up there in New York, just saying, that'd be scary.
I got to tell you, they're not really in the market for a left-handed hitting first baseman.
They have a good one.
They got a pretty good one up there.
They're not. But Louis, as much as Jackson likes to beat up his defense, they'll figure it out for that bat. Trust me.
They don't tend to worry much about defense.
They do have a third baseman who's great defensively and not hitting the broadside of a barn, so we'll leave that one alone.
He's going to be a Cardinal. Dustin May, straight up.
Why are you trying to give everybody Dustin May right now? All right, listen here.
That's not. I mean, he needs to be shopped considering, but like, you can ask for more than that. I don't know if you know that like right-handed pitchers at the deadline generally cost more than a mid-grade defensive infielder with a hot bat.
Listen,
more times than not.
Before we derail ourselves, because that was a great opportunity to do it, guys, let's jump right into topic number 1 here. And that, of course, is continuing to move up the bus 2026 big board. Guys, really excited about this because we've got a ton of names that we have been talking about all college baseball season now really popping up here in the top 20. And we're going to start with the name that I think everybody was really expecting to be higher on the list. However, due to an injury and him coming back, not totally looking right at the end of the college baseball season, has kind of thrown him down boards. This could be a huge upside pick for a team that really likes what he does. And that, coming in at number 20, would be Cameron Flukie out of Coastal Carolina. He's a right-handed pitcher. Jackson, we're starting on an arm, so you get to tell people more about Mr. Flukie.
Yeah, Flukie's been at Coastal Carolina for a couple of years, and I've been a weekend guy. I was on the World Series team when they made the World Series. I think he was the Friday or Saturday guy that year. But he's been awesome. Coming into the year, there's kind of a big three between him and two other guys we're going to talk about later, one today, one next week. They were kind of like the big three college arms, and Flukie started the year, was looking good. And then missed some time with a rib injury, 2 months, and he came back. The stuff was good. It wasn't to the point where it was like, okay, like he's going to fall a lot. But the command wasn't as good. There was just a little bit of stuff to be shaky about watching him pitch. He's no doubt still going to be a first-round pick. Potentially could be 15 to 10 range. Could fall a little bit, but there's no doubt I think he's going to go top 30. This is a guy when he's on 95, 97 fastball, good cut right fastball. The big thing off it is a big curveball that he gets a lot of whiffs with. He adds in like a short gyro slider and some changeup that might need a little bit of work, but has a good 3-pitch mix that can go up and down, very vertical movement. Like I said, the walks are a little bit of a problem post-injury, but he typically does a good job with his command. I like Flukie a lot when he was healthy. This, like I said, he probably would have been 10 to 15 range from me fully healthy. Just a little bit of concerns there, but I'm still really high on the arm.
Yeah, I think this is one of those cases where you kind of throw out the stats from this year. You know, you go through the whole offseason, you go through the winter, you work yourself to, mid-February to opening day in college baseball, and it's like the same thing as a spring training ramp-up. And the benefit that professional pitchers have is that they can take that time, if they're coming into the season late, go do rehab starts, go to minor league starts, and work themselves back in a consolidated spring training, get the touch and feel back, get the comfort on the mound back. Unfortunately, in a college baseball season, it's 50 to 60 games, depending on what you're able to schedule, rainouts, all that nonsense, and then getting into the postseason. And the hope is that both strength and comfort, this guy can build himself back up. By the time that point in the season had come, you were seeing him make 3 to 4 inning starts to try and work into that. And I think some of the touch and feel just wasn't there. But again, you give him an offseason and then going into pro ball, I expect him to be right back where he was at the start of the season this past year and even the end of the season prior, where he's got a good, solid, above average or average 4-pitch mix, right? Where he is consistently in the zone, really high level control, really high level command of a couple of those 4 pitches. And again, maybe ends up being a steal for a team in the 20 to 25 range rather than be a top 10 pick like he should have been.
Look, this is going to be the arm version of what we saw with Braden Montgomery a few years back. This is an injury that probably shouldn't scare people as much as it's going to.
Right.
But I also think it says a lot about the talent that is in this draft at the end of the day, to the credit of the rest of the crop here. Look, Flukie, 6'6", gets down the mound extremely well. His curveball shows us that he has a propensity to spin the baseball, which makes you think the slider will get better. We know that he added a kick change that had a ton more arm side run in the offseason. Just excited to see him healthy. And the other piece that's going to be huge is we will not see Flukie in pro ball this year, more than likely similar to a lot of the other big name arms from the 2025 draft. And what we're seeing is that's the right route for these major league teams to go with college arms. The benefit to Flukie, he actually had less run on his arm this year than those guys did, which could allow him to have an even more effective offseason if he's fully back from the injury. Flukie's going to be a steal somewhere in the middle of the draft. Be ready for it. And if there was one arm that goes a lot higher than you think it's supposed to, similar to the way people felt about Bremner last year, this is the name to pay attention to, because if he goes higher, it won't shock anybody. Moving right along here to number 19. Now, guys, before we go to 19 and then 18, we have one of the most fun tandems that we've had in a long time here, and a good baseball and stitch debate, because outside of Mr. Von Lackey, the next top 2 catchers and the 2 guys we expect potentially to stay behind the plate, potentially, are at 19 and 18. Coming in at 19 for us, Daniel Jackson, catcher out of the University of Georgia. Jackson, I believe, Golden Spikes Award winner, correct? Am I going crazy here?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was announced today, right?
I believe so. I think he did win it, which is congratulations, Daniel Jackson. This was arguably, from a production perspective, the best all-around player in college baseball this year. Easiest way to put that. When we talk about production, that was Daniel Jackson. This kid is versatile. This kid can swing the bat and takes extremely good ABs consistently from the right side of the plate. Flax, tell us a little bit more about Daniel Jackson, because I know he is your favorite catcher in the draft, potentially.
Just a quick clarification. It'll get announced tonight.
That's on me.
Yeah, it'll get announced tonight. It's either him, Landon Hairston, or Rock Chalowski, which
all deserving.
I think there's probably three. I think there's 2 or 3 other guys there that probably could have slipped in instead of maybe Rock. But I'm not going to be the guy to throw a fit. Daniel Jackson, I think, is one of the best right-handed hitting catchers coming out of college that we've seen in a very long time. Now, the flip side of that is it may be the reason that he actually doesn't stick behind the plate. They're probably going to find a way. He's a 25 stolen base guy this year in college. He has speed. He has good feel, not only on the base paths, but he has good quick feet. I would not be shocked to see them try to push him into a corner outfield role pretty early into pro baseball just to see where he can and can't stick, because he's the kind of bat that you're going to want to run through your minor league system as quick as possible. The pop to all sides of the field is absolutely absurd. It is a small ballpark in Athens, Georgia. It would not have mattered what stadium you put him in. He would have still hit 20-plus bombs this year. I think that, for me, I like him a lot, mainly just because the hit tool, the bat-to-ball skill, and the stolen base combination is just not something you get out of a catcher very often. And to me, that screams a guy that I would take pretty high. Jackson?
Yeah, for me, like a little behind the scenes, we all made 3 separate big boards, and then we kind of combined them together to make our official big board. I had Jackson lower than both of y'all did, and the guy above this I had higher than both of y'all did. My reasoning for this overall, I love Daniel Jackson. I agree with everything Flack said. He's a phenomenal. This is a guy who played in the SoCon, my conference, ETSU, his freshman year. I watched him play as a freshman. I've known he was special for a long time. The power's unreal. The speed combination, awesome. His approach overall pretty good. Doesn't chase a lot, low swing rate, walks a lot, has a little bit of whiff problems, but I love the bat overall. However, I do not think he's a catcher. Like, I've watched him caught a lot. I've watched him catch a lot. I think his bat is significantly more advanced than his glove is. I think he has a strong arm. I think he's going to profile very well in the corner outfield spot. With that being said, the threshold to be a hitter in the corner outfield is way higher than the threshold to be a good hitter as a catcher. Like, it is much easier to be a below average offensive catcher than it is to be below average corner outfielder. I just think Jackson needs to reach more of his ceiling if he ends up being a corner outfielder than him being a catcher. Again, I really love the player. I think the bat is awesome. I think he's going to be a good player, but I think he's going to be a really good corner outfielder, maybe even corner infielder, and not necessarily a catcher, because his offensive production, if he sticks a catcher, would be one of the best catchers in baseball. But as a corner outfielder, might not be that, and I just think he's going to end up in one of those corner spots where the offensive production is different than being a catcher.
Yeah, I think the upside with the bat is just very apparent across the board, right? I mean, again, we're talking about the Golden Spikes Award winner. Last year we said this with Wahiva Aloy. We were a little bit disappointed that people were not giving him probably the credit that we thought was due, and our big board showed that last year as well. So I think one of the big pieces for me here at the end of the day is that I think Jackson actually just simply has the athleticism to stay behind the plate. And when you put him into a major league workout routine from a standpoint of how they're teaching him behind the dish every single day for 1 to 2 off seasons, and the changes that we're seeing from a catching perspective in general in the game at the current moment, I think there's a chance that he could stick. But let's move ourselves to number 18 and Ryder Helfrich, a catcher out of the University of Arkansas. Jackson, the difference here is that Helfrich is probably the best defensive catcher in this entire class. And Mike Zunino is a guy that you and I have kind of comped him a little bit to here with a ton of pop, a ton of ability to hit the ball over the fence. Sorry, let me keep moving there. But also play an extremely, extremely aggressive and high-level brand behind the plate.
Damn, the Mike Zunino comp was not one I saw coming, but I love that. Mike Zunino, for those who don't know, played at Florida, played for the Mariners, among other teams at the big league level. And when he was in college, the balls that he would hit, now granted, he played during a different era of baseball bat, but the balls that he would hit were the kind of balls you would dream about hitting as a baseball player. Just absolutely demolished as a college player. I don't know that I necessarily see that for Ryder Helfrich, if I'm going to be honest. He's not the kind of guy offensively that makes me turn my head, but I think he's a guy that manages the game well. I think he's a guy that takes really good at bats. I mean, again, he comes from a program that I think produces a lot of really high IQ players, and he plays a position where that kind of is a premium, or should be a premium, and is becoming more of one as the catcher position becomes more offensively focused. But the bat to ball skills are there. I think the upside for power is there. We've talked about this before. These guys aren't going to hit their physical maturity for another 4 or 5 years anyways. So if you turn that bat to ball to a little bit more pop as you go, I think that this is a guy who, like you said, becomes a part of this tandem between him and Daniel Jackson that make you pretty excited from a catching standpoint in this draft.
Yeah, Helfrich, just behind the plate, I think is by far, in my opinion, the best defensive catcher in the class. He was calling pitches last year, managed staff really well, good blocker, has a really strong arm. And like kind of as I mentioned earlier, I think he's almost definitely going to stick at catcher. And I really, really love the swing, the power. His bat speed's off the charts. And as I mentioned earlier, the bar to be an offensive catcher is not as high as it is to be a corner outfielder. I think there's a chance he's being a plus defensive catcher who hits 25 home runs with right around 100 WRC plus. And with kind of where we're at in baseball right now, that is by far clearly enough to be an everyday player and play for 10, 15 years. If you're catching, hitting 15 to 25 home runs a year and catching really well, I just think Helfrich is almost definitely going to be a big leaguer in some form or fashion with the amount of raw power he has on top of his defensive abilities.
Well, and I think the thing to remember too, and why on the flip side I like the Zunino comp, though I think Zunito's college career probably shined offensively more than people felt like, is we're talking about a guy who at the major league level was about a 210 to 225 hitter, and at his peak was hitting 20 to 30 home runs. In the day and age that we're currently playing Major League Baseball, you're an MLB starter doing that. It's just what it is. I think that a lot of us, including the three of us on this podcast, would love to see a little bit more bat to ball, regardless of the position, than a 210 to 220 hitter. At the same time, when you play elite defense and you can hit 20 plus home runs a year, where Jackson was going, right now, no one cares. So it'll be really interesting to see where this goes. Guys, let's get back on the mound. Coming in at number 17 is Hunter Dietz, a left-handed pitcher out of the University of Arkansas. I know Jackson loves this guy, and you know why? Because this guy's got 5 pitches. But Jackson, tell us about these 5 pitches that this lefty commands. Oh, by the way, standing 6'6", 235 on the hill.
That's a big human being.
Hunter Dietz is one of the most interesting pitchers in the class, mainly because he basically just played 1 year of college. Like, he's been at Arkansas for 3 years, but before this year, I think had less than 5 career innings, had some injury stuff, had some command issues, just really didn't get off the mound his first 2 years. And then I remember, as you can see, like, I grew up an Arkansas fan, so like I follow a bunch of Arkansas Instagram accounts and stuff like that, mainly for football stuff. But I remember in the fall coming into the season and such, I remember seeing a bunch of people talking about Dietz maybe getting starting jobs, maybe having a chance, and being shocked by it just because, like I said, this guy hasn't pitched a whole lot. I remember seeing him pretty high on some boards early in the year, and I was, again, shocked because, again, he has not pitched a whole lot. And then he came into the year, and he was awesome. 14 starts, 3.32 ERA, 2.95 FIP, struck out 36% of the batters he faced while walking just 8%, so showed a really good command stuff, which, again, is tough to see from a guy who, again, has not pitched a whole lot. This is a guy, mid or upper 90s fastball, has a short gyro pitch, cutter, slider, kind of mixes both of them, but also adds in a big looping curveball as well that gets a lot of whiffs. The stuff is really, really good. I'm just worried that, again, hasn't pitched a whole lot. I think he's a lot more moldable, but he's a moldable 20, 21-year-old. I love Dietz a lot, and he has an ace upside, but I think the floor is a little bit lower than some other pitchers.
I'm not a pitching guy. I just have seen a lot of arms over a long period of time. A lot of what he does, hitting 97, feels like it's waist up. When you watch his motion and you watch him get down the mound, it feels like there's a lot more extension that could be grabbed from his frame and the way that he strides and gets down the mound. I think there's a lot of upside here for whoever takes him. And I think, like you mentioned, the bar to be an offensive player as a catcher is a lot lower than a corner outfielder. I think the bar to get drafted and be a high upside project is a lot lower as a 6'6" left-hander than it is as a 6'2" right-hander. He's got a lot going for him that he doesn't even have to do anything to control. He just has to wake up in the morning. He's a big enough body that somebody wants to give it a try. Now, couple that with pretty solid feel for a couple of different pitches, which helps take it even further. I just think that you're talking about a guy in my mind that I think should be pumping triple digits. And I would not be shocked to see that in 2 years coming out of a professional offseason where they really work with him to use that lower half and get down the mound a little bit further. Turn that arm a little bit more into a lever instead of, something he's got to make move with his torso.
Yeah, I think on the flip side of Fluky, and I do agree with you from everything that I've seen when it comes to Dietz, is he simply doesn't get down the mound as well as maybe other guys his size. So I think it's a really good call out from you, Flax. At the end of the day, this is one of our arms where you ask yourself, because of history, because of how much he's played and been able to play, are we taking a guy in the top, let's say 15 picks? He's close enough to that mark if we were sitting here doing it, that is going to end up being a really, really good high leverage arm. And then you just have to decide and ask yourself, if in the first round, are you looking for that type of arm at the end of the day to be the floor of what you get? Dietz has feel. When he's been on the hill, he's been good. He's been up to 98 from the left side with a lot more to get out of his body, has been mentioned. He's the type of guy where he's got a little bit of cut right on that fastball. Somebody's going to look at him and say, maybe we can do a little bit of a sink piece. Now he's got 2 pitches that go arm side. This is a dream for teams like the Rays and the Guardians. I'm not saying he's moving to either of those groups, but a pitching factory or development group like that will probably turn Dietz into something fantastic. Guys, let's move on to number 16 here. Our first prep player of the session, Trevor Condon. He's an outfielder out of Georgia. Condon is a sweet swinging lefty. No other way to put it. Extremely athletic, can play up the middle of the field. I'm really excited to see where this goes. The swing feels a little bit hitchy at times, but the bat to ball has been excellent. And by the way, this is that type of Drew Gilbert competitor. A lot of comps on Drew Gilbert when he was coming out of high school. A little bit smaller of a frame, but gets absolutely every ounce of it into the baseball. Excited to see what Condon's got. Who's interested in starting for Trevor?
Oh, you, Jackson.
I really, really like Trevor Condon. He's one of my favorite players in the class. I honestly, like looking at my board, I kind of wish I had him a little bit higher. One thing you didn't mention, probably the best runner in the class, especially up this high. Like really, really plus speed, potentially 20, 30, 40 bag guy, which also tends to you like the ability for him to stick in center field long term. And when me and Ryan were watching his swing, I said it kind of looks like controlled chaos. Like, it looks like there's some hitches or stuff going on, but it looks natural and it looks smooth and it looks like he knows what he's doing with it. You watch some of these high school guys' swings with the crazy swings and it looks lost. His looks crazy, but it looks like he's controlling it and understanding what's going on with it. The bat-to-ball skills look good. He can fly around the outfield. He can add value on the base paths. I am such a big fan of him. I like his competitive spirit. I think he's going to be a really good player. I think the Cardinals would be a really fun fit. He just feels like a Cardinal, just gritty ball player who's going to go out and just have some fun. I really like Trevor Condon. I think he's going to be a really good player in this class who can just kind of be a big F4 guy, play some defense or run some bases, hit 280 with 15 home runs and rack up 5 F4s. Have some fun.
What if they trade Dustin May for him? Sorry, go ahead, Flex.
I will say this about him. It's very similar to what I say about a lot of high school guys, especially his size. They find a lot of power with the body movement through the hitting zone. And I think in high school it works really well. Now, listen, I'm not going to be one of those guys that says, oh, if you're moving that much in the box, 97 is going to blow you away. Listen, some guys just have exceptional hand-eye coordination. Frank Thomas used to hit every ball off his front foot, and his back foot was off the ground. Bryce Harper did it when he was young and first entered the league. He's a little more controlled now, and he's a little stronger, more physically mature than he was. I think when I look at Condon, it's very similar to me from a swing standpoint. I like the stride. I kind of like that his load is like a little taller. If you go watch video of him, he does this kind of step back move with his front foot. I think if you could get him to stay on the backside and hang a little bit longer rather than drift his whole body forward, I think there's longer term success in a swing like that. But to me, it's a true athlete that you can mold. That's a guy that if he can do well enough moving that way at this point in his career, I wouldn't be shocked if you could try and change a couple of things and see it really take off. There's really quick hands there, really good barrel control, and he's stocky. That's a ton of strength in that frame. I think his upside power numbers are a lot bigger than people would normally expect from someone his size.
And my only other note is the top two straight up outfield prep prospects in this class are him and Eric Booth Jr.
Yeah.
The only reason we have Condon so much higher is because that controlled chaos piece that Jackson spoke about here. The one thing Condon does a really good job of is when he is ready to hit, he's in the same position almost every single time, which gives him that controlled chaos mark. There's a lot of things that happen prior to being ready to hit, but he seems to always be in the same spot, and when he lets it go, it's coming from that same piece. We saw less consistency from Eric Booth Jr. from a hitting perspective with where he was starting and where he was finishing. Just something to think about as you're evaluating players yourself across the board. Both players, extremely high upside and could both potentially be long-term center fielders for any major league team. Going to be really fun to see how it plays out, as they are, in our opinion, the top two strictly outfielders in this class coming out of high school. Let's keep on moving.
Real quick for you, and I didn't look back at our big board from last year. It feels very college heavy right now. Yeah, feels not very high school laden this year compared to last year. Yeah, I mean, there's been a bunch of high-level high school guys that even showed out really well at the combine that have pulled their name out of the draft.
Will Yo.
Which I actually don't remember being a thing. I think that's somewhat new, where guys are kind of pulling their name and letting the league know, don't pick me. Because it used to be the case that guys would just call teams and through their agent would say, don't pick me unless you're going to give me X amount of dollars. And now it's just to the point where guys are like, don't pick me. It doesn't matter the dollars. I'm not going. I'm going to make plenty for the next 3 years, and then I'll come play for you.
I love it. I don't really blame him. College is fun.
No, I don't blame him at all.
Jackson would know. He's there. All right. Moving to number 15 here. AJ Gracia, outfielder out of the University of Virginia. One of the better bats across the board in this class. Gracia is Flax's highest rated player in this group. Flax, tell everybody more about AJ and his bat.
Well, he's the highest rated guy for me because I just can't not love a sweet left-handed swing. It's really all there is to it. Tons of power. Some of the balls that this guy would backspin the other way this year, and he did it the year before at Duke as well. It's a different type of ball flight that you don't see from everyone. His swing is short, quick to the ball, and then extremely long through it with tons of extension. The one thing I was curious about this year is how he would get comfortable going from Duke to UVA. Now, I understand he followed his head coach there, but at the same time, it's a totally new atmosphere. Both of them are not easy academic institutions, so getting yourself resituated from that perspective while trying to, play a fall season, get yourself into the spring season, and man, he found his groove really, really fast. It was very apparent that he was very comfortable, but the swing is very HLP-esque. For those who don't know, that's akin to like what Aaron Judge does. Stays on the back hip a lot, hangs the leg, hard rotation from the backside. He does it really well, and he's one of the few guys I'd look at and say, like, he's probably strong enough to pull that off for a pretty long time.
Yeah, for me, I really like his approach. Like, very passive hitter, doesn't swing a lot, which leads to not a lot of chase. This year, 34 strikeouts to 43 walks as a whole. Doesn't swing and miss a whole lot. He did put up good power numbers. I'm not 100% sold on how well they're going to transfer. I think he's going to be a decent 10 to 20 homer guy, but I don't know if I see the 25-plus upside. Plays a good center field. Some think he's going to stick there, some don't think. My player comp, like analytically looking at stats, is kind of like a Michael Brantley, where good bat-to-ball skills, really good approach, doesn't strike out a whole lot, is going to get you that 10 to 20 homers a year, is going to hit towards the top of your lineup every day. I think that would be a really good player comp for him, kind of like a good ceiling point for him to get to if he can get there. I like
Hopefully just a little healthier.
Yeah, hopefully a little healthier. Brantley struggled with that throughout his career, but really like Gracia and the player he can be.
Yeah, you guys have said most of what I was going to say. I think I lean more towards Flax's side here. I think when you get to that level, you learn how to turn doubles into home runs in a lot of cases. We're talking about a guy with a 6'3", 200-pound frame, and he's a really good athlete across the board. I think the question remains for me in these scenarios is it's a lot harder to make the HLP approach work at the highest levels, and I mean that with no negativity. But he has the frame and athleticism to potentially make it happen. The best part about that statement is you're talking about probably one of the highest ceiling and lowest floor guys in this entire draft, college or not, because you could get a lot out of Gracia in a lot of different ways. His development will probably show out whether or not teams see him more like Jackson does or teams see him more like Flax does. Maybe somewhere in the middle. We'll find out, though.
Probably somewhere in the middle.
Guys, let's get on to now my highest player coming in at number 14, or highest player of this session coming in at number 14 is Brody Bamila. He's a left-handed pitcher out of Massachusetts. He's a high schooler. Look, there's not much for me to say, guys, other than left-handed high school arm. He's 6'9", 255. He throws from a 3/4 or lower slot, and he can touch 101. I rest my case.
Gross.
We're simply talking about one of those. The best way for me to put this is that you're talking about an athletic specimen. You're talking about a kid on the mound who has actually had solid feel across the board at the high school level, and it's not as if he's walking the world with this stuff. And it's hard for me not to dream on what this frame and this kid could do. The biggest thing I like about Bamila is really simple. There is a lack of effort when he's throwing. Mm-hmm. You do not get that out of young high schoolers throwing in the mid-hundreds. It's something we'll talk about next year with a guy like Striker Pence. This is the easiest 101 I've ever seen from a high school kid. It doesn't look like he's throwing it. Oh, and then, by the way, it's coming closer to like Chris Sale's arm angle than it is coming to anybody else's. So, needless to say, I'm just excited to see what in the heck anybody does with this kid, because this stuff's impressive.
Did you see the interview that Pitching Ninja did with him?
No, but I need to.
They put their hands up to each other, and Rob Friedman does not have big hands to begin with, but his hand was like the size of Bamila's palm. Like,
I love it.
When you say meat hooks, like, that's what we're talking about. Just huge hands. Like you said, everything is very low effort. To give people some sort of idea, we had Jack Bauer, lefty, high schooler, threw 100 last year at number 17 on our big board. So we're right around that range. The only difference is this guy's a little taller. He's a little bit less effort. And I think that alone gives you a little bit more comfort to take him as a high schooler a little higher. Again, it's just going to come down to money where he ends up going. But I really like the changeup too, if I'm going to be honest. Because when you see him throw it, everything looks the same. Everything, the way he releases it, the way he sets himself up and throws it, he's throwing it less than 90 miles an hour, which means the gap in speed is disgusting and very uncomfortable for hitters. He doesn't necessarily step across his body as much as Chris Sale or even like a Jamie Arnold, if you want to go even more recent for guys from that arm angle. Doesn't throw nearly as hard. But there's a lot to love about this kid. There's not much more you can say, like you said, other than, let me dream.
I really like the fastball more than just like we've seen 99, 100, 101 that doesn't look great, but his lower slot and ability to create good IVB from that slot towards the top of the zone makes that 99, 100 look maybe even harder sometimes. And I think just straight up right now that his fastball might be close to an MLB level pitch like right now. From what I've seen, the slider and changeup both look good, but both need a little bit of work and need to be polished. But with how young he is, how talented his arm is, I think I think the upside is just so high. Another real thing I like about him is that he's 6'9", 255. He has a little bit of meat on the bones, which we see a lot of these guys, like some lefties, lanky, who just look injury prone. He looks like he filled out his body a little bit more than sometimes.
He's 255. Not a small guy.
Yeah. He's filled out his body more than we've seen sometimes these lanky guys have.
Yeah, I think the last note on him is pretty simple. Jackson, you mentioned the fastball. We've mentioned the arm angle a couple of different times. Guys coming from that slot with that type of fastball are one of your few variants of pitchers who in this day and age could absolutely succeed with only 3 pitches. That helps that floor increase from an overall perspective. # go check out Christopher Sanchez.
Thank God I didn't play high school baseball in this era.
Me too.
Oh my God, man.
I'm with you because I don't know how the hell I was supposed to hit this. Either way.
Not every high school has a kid throwing 100, but every high school has a dude throwing mid to upper 80s. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like we had that in high school. We just didn't have guys throwing 92 to 94.
Not consistently.
All right. Number 13, guys, comes in one of the best overall bats in this class and one of the best corner infielders, Ace Reese, a third baseman out of Mississippi State. This Mississippi State team had an electric run up to just missing out on the College World Series, I believe. I think they lost in the Supers, if I remember correctly. But the show that Ace Reese and company put on was pretty spectacular, including a couple clutch home runs from Reese himself.
Well, it was between him and Jacob Parker on that team, right? I mean, that was the duo down the stretch. But Ace Reese was the guy who, coming into the season, we almost knew was going to be in that role. He was, from the start of the season till the end of it, an absolute dude in the box for them. Another sweet swinging left-hander who just dominated SEC pitching this year. I think that when I look at a bat like Ace Reese, the question, like some other guys, becomes where does he eventually play at the professional level? He's a guy who will probably get opportunities in some corner outfield roles. He'll get corner infield roles, and he'll try his best to stick at third base. I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on the team that he gets drafted by and what their organizational outlook is and where he'll get his opportunity first. He's not a bad defender. He's not slow, but a lot of times guys who we end up seeing stick at the third base position at the big league level are guys that were pretty close to being able to stick at second base or shortstop at the professional level below Major League Baseball. So I think his bat will drive his ability to get in the lineup more than his glove will. But he knows how to hit in big situations when the lights are bright. No question about that.
Yeah, I think it's almost definitely going to be corner infield, corner outfield. From what I've seen, kind of like a first base or left field. But the power is just unbelievable. 20 doubles and 21 doubles, 20 home runs this year is unbelievable. You rarely see that in college. You either see a guy with double power or they'll have, Daniel Jackson, 27 homers and 11 doubles this year.
Yeah.
You rarely see a guy who is homering and his miss hits are doubles. He is a little bit more aggressive than some other guys in his class, but I love the power so much. And I think it's just so raw and effortless but he's also putting it in game situations. We talk about all the time, this guy has good raw power, but we haven't seen it in game as much. Like, Ace Reese has the raw power, but we've seen his ability where he can actually play it in game. Like, I think this is a guy with easy 25, 30-plus homer upside who can just play every day and just find a spot for him in the field, and he's just going to hit somehow. He's just going to hit.
Yeah, my biggest note on Reese is if you're looking for your pick to click to hit 35-plus home runs consistently at the major league level, he's not a bad choice. The pop and the raw power that Reese possesses is extremely impressive. And frankly, at the end of the day, he showed that he could hit like this in the SEC, in SEC play, which is extremely impressive across the board because we know that tends to be the highest quality pitching that you see at the college level. Excited to see how Reese develops and improves. But again, if he's a 35-plus home run guy a year when healthy at the big league level in 3 to 5 years, I will not be shocked.
It's a real quiet explosiveness from the bat.
Absolutely. It's quick.
It's the lower half isn't doing a lot. It's a very simple leg kick. And then when he decides to swing, he lets the ball travel so deep. Like it's the closest thing. This is a stretch, but it's the closest thing to what we visually feel like we see with a guy like Ohtani.
Yeah.
Right? Where the ball is just, it feels like it's on him, and all of a sudden his hands are there, and he's still pulling it in the right center gap as a left-handed hitter. And that's...
I can't believe that he let the ball travel so far and still pulled it. Is the easiest way from a visualization perspective for anybody to think about it.
And Jackson, you could tell me I'm wrong on this in some other time when you can research it, but it felt like he hit left-handed pitchers actually okay this year because of that ability to kind of let the ball travel a little bit.
I can answer that right now if you would like.
Well, only if I'm right.
Well, give me 3 seconds to pull that up.
This. You're the stat guy. You'll be ready to go.
Yeah, he hit 354, 447, 759, 8 homers, and 8 doubles against left-handed pitching this year.
Who said the eye test doesn't work? I knew he hit well against lefties. That's why he hit well against lefties. He lets the ball travel, he keeps his front side closed, and then he just explodes on the ball.
And let's be clear, if you're taking a guy in the top 15 picks, you'd like him to not be a strong side platoon.
Yeah, right.
So it is tracking the way it needs to track. So either way, let's go to number 12 here, guys. This is a local guy for Flax and I here.
Yeah.
And Chris Hakopian, he was a middle infielder for Texas A&M this year. One of the most advanced bats in the entirety of college baseball. The question with him has been pretty simple. It's where are you going to put him on the field defensively? But even with that question, which can really hurt you on many draft boards and also in the eyes of a lot of teams, Hakopian still comes in at 12 because this kid does one thing and one thing only. He rakes.
Hits the ball very hard. Very hard, very consistently. Yeah. He's we said this from the beginning when he transferred out of Maryland. He is a hitter. He is not a defender. And I don't mean that to say he's a bad defender, but he went there as a shortstop for Maryland. We knew he wasn't going to be a shortstop. That's not really what they brought him to A&M for. But the one thing I am curious about is he struggled with a back injury. Back injuries are not usually something that just go away, which worries me long term for a guy like this. Now, we've seen plenty of guys come out of college with injuries that worry us. They get drafted, they play really well for a stretch of time, and then at some point down the line when they get to 30 years old, it creeps back up and makes baseball really hard. If you're taking a guy like this really high, you should expect to try and get him to the big league level quickly, get as much of that as you can as the team who drafted him, and then probably move on. A guy that I would look at that's very similar to this is Anthony Rendon. Anthony Rendon had a bad knee injury coming out of Rice when the Nats took him. The Nats made the most of the Anthony Rendon that they got. They knew what the clock was, and they were okay that he was going to sign somewhere else. I think if you think that he always disliked or didn't care about baseball to the level he talks about now, I think you're crazy. I think enough injuries, enough time spent on the IL, enough frustrations on a team that's not good will get you there. Everyone has dealt with that in some form or another in their sports career. I think Chris Hacopian is just a guy that, like, that's the timeline for me. I'd love to look back in 10 years and say, man, I was dead wrong and he's going to play in the MLB for 20 years. But to me, that's really my only hang-up. Across the board, though, kind of guy you could stick at a corner defensive spot, be fairly happy with because he's just going to pound the baseball across the yard.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more than just showing decent power for him. The bat-to-ball skills are unbelievable for him, and the approach is extremely mature. Last year at A&M, 20 strikeouts, 23 walks. The year before at Maryland, 19 strikeouts and 40 walks. He doesn't swing a lot. He doesn't swing and miss. He doesn't really chase a whole lot. He just has incredible bat-to-ball skills, an incredibly mature approach, while also being able to really show double power, to show home run power. I think he hits. He's going to find a way to hit wherever he goes. If he can stay healthy and be average defensively, he's going to play a lot of baseball.
Jackson, while I make my comments on him real quick before we move on, what did he hit on fastballs this year, if you can pull that up while I'm doing this? My note on Hacopian, and it's the only thing that I think, not the only thing, it's something that I think is really helpful for him, is the transformation of the DH role and being across both leagues. I think guys like him who have had back injuries that we know are something that just can be nagging. We've seen it happen across the board. Nagging is the word I'd like to use here, because when you get older, that stuff just happens. It is part of aging. The ability to stick at a DH spot, similar to what we're seeing from a guy like Kyle Schwarber, who we may have a segment coming up on him again after the stat that Flax threw out before the podcast today. It's going to allow him to potentially bring a longer piece of longevity to his career, because the focus can simply be every day waking up and knowing that I have one job and one job only. Hit baseballs extremely hard around the yard, and it's everybody else's problem to figure the rest of it out.
You know, the other thing that people may not know is Chris Hacopian has pedigree. He has professional baseball pedigree. His dad was a minor leaguer. His dad is a very, very good teacher of hitting. Not just the mechanics, but the IQ of being in the box. It's why Hacopian is the hitter that he is. It's why he's not super aggressive. It's why he waits for his pitch. He has a plan. It's very obvious. Every at-bat he takes, he has a plan. And what he did a damn good job of in college was executing on that plan a high percentage of the time. I'll take a guy in the box like that very often if I get the chance.
Also, against fastballs this year, hit 333, 429, 575, and only whiffed at 7% of fastballs. The year before at Maryland, hit 400 against fastballs, but only whiffing also 7% of the time. He does a great job of seeing him and doesn't miss them when he gets them.
That's a Big Ten fastball versus an SEC fastball for you.
And the best part
both
is,
will play.
I was say it really didn't cut him up that much when you really think about it.
No.
So pretty fun. All right, guys, let's get to number 11 here. Jackson's highest rated player of the session. Jackson, Liam Peterson, right-handed pitcher out of the University of Florida, one of your favorite arms in this draft.
Yeah, Peterson, he was mentioned when I was talking about earlier with Fluky, kind of coming into the year as one of the top, 3 college pitchers in the class. He's been starting at Florida for 3 years and had a good year, 4 ERA, strikes out a bunch of guys. The arsenal I really like, ride fastball at 96, sits 96. He's been up to 100. Has a good little changeup, show me changeup off of it. He throws it enough. It throws in the mid 80s, 10 mile an hour difference. Has a kind of a shorter slider, maybe a little bit gyro, a little bit more horizontal on it, and adds in a big depthy curveball. Has shown the ability to throw all 4 pitches in the zone and throw them a lot. I really like Peterson. Also, like I said, 6'5", 220. He's a bigger guy, knows how to pitch. The pitch ability is high. Had some walk problems and had some issues going really deep into games this year, which is kind of the reason that he's not as high as he could be. But I think the arsenal is really strong. And like I said, he's pitched a lot of college. This is a 3-year starter in the SEC, something we do not see that often. He has a bunch of experience, and I think Liam Pearson is going to be a really good pitcher.
I think my only knock on him, and I like his stuff a lot. It's really hard not to like a guy that's not high 90s fastball. It's not a high ride fastball. And I think that's maybe why you see his pitch count get up a little bit more than it should. It's not a fastball that I see him throw extremely confidently over the plate. Even at the SEC level, he throws a ton of breaking balls. Part of that is he's not calling pitches. He's throwing what he's told. Another part of that is just it's a fastball that can get a little flat at times. I think that I wouldn't be shocked to see him really layer in some other sort of fastball, a cutter or a sinker, to work off of his breaking pitches that he's a little bit more confident in over the plate to allow the fastball at a high velocity to play a little bit better. But he gets down the mound well. He's a strong presence. He's a guy who seems comfortable on the mound because he's been in high-stress situations a lot in his career. But number 11 seems like a good fit for him. I think he's a guy that easily could go top 10 to a team in those slots that's interested in a seasoned right-handed pitcher with a lot of juice.
Yeah, high floor player here. I think my only pushback is that he at times, I think the pitch count has just as much to do with the fastball as it does for the fact that there's times where Peterson is up there and it looks like he's trying to strike out the world because he knows how good his spin can be and how effective it can be, especially against college hitters. And you and I both know that when you get into that mode a little bit, it also gets you out of the zone. Now it's harder to get calls. Now you're almost causing yourself problems from time to time trying to make everybody swing and miss at the end of the day. The catch here is really simple. Like I said, the floor is extremely high. The stuff is really, really solid. And I think it only gets better once you put him on a pro work plan at the end of the day and give him an entire offseason where his life is to focus on how do I become the best professional pitcher I possibly can. I expect a guy like this to find himself at a tread or a drive line. I would be shocked. Or, let's be clear, there are a lot of performance pitching labs now, a lot of other great options, but it would be potentially a group like that it can help him excel this offseason.
Yeah, maybe he lands at one of those couple that are now newly friends of the program.
I would totally agree. We can give him a call and see if he's interested.
Yeah, there you go.
Chad, we're sending people your way. What? All right. Either way, guys, that was 20 through 11 here. We'll run through them real quick before we move into Jackson's bullpen. Coming in number 20 for us, Cameron Flukie, right-handed pitcher out of Coastal Carolina. Number 19, Daniel Jackson, a catcher out of the University of Georgia. Number 18, Ryder Helfrich, a catcher out of the University of Arkansas. Number 17, his cohort, Hunter Dietz, a left-handed pitcher out of the University of Arkansas. At number 16, Trevor Condon, an outfielder out of high school in Georgia. At number 15, AJ Gracia, an outfielder from the University of Virginia. At number 14, Brody Bamila, a left-handed pitcher out of Massachusetts, a high school. At number 13, Ace Reese, third baseman, Mississippi State. At number 12, Chris Hakopian, a middle infielder out of Texas A&M. And coming in at number 11 to round out our list today, Liam Peterson, a right-handed pitcher out of the University of Florida. This is the Bus Big Board. We know you have your own big board and your own thoughts. Please tell us how you're feeling about the 2026 MLB draft. Tell us where we have guys too high. Tell us where we have guys too low. We'd love to have the conversation across social media. If there's no other final thoughts, which I'm going to say there's not, we're going to move right here along to Jackson's bullpen. Jackson, everybody's favorite segment, man. Teach us something new.
All right, today, topic I wanted to bring is I researched today for about an hour or so. I found 3 MLB-ready pitching prospects who could make huge impacts coming down the stretch here. I gave myself 3 stipulations. The prospect must be 24 or younger. I'm not a big fan of the older 25, 26, 27-year-old prospects. The prospect must have yet to make their MLB debut. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't grabbed a guy who had a couple cups of coffee. And lastly, the team must have real playoff odds because I wanted to try to pick guys who were going to have impacts on playoff teams coming down the stretch. So my first pick is from the Houston Astros system, right-handed pitcher Ethan Pecco. Was a 6th-round pick in 2023 out of Towson, Maryland guy.
Yeah, baby.
Both are. 23 years old. He's ranked 6th in their system. So far this year in AAA, across 13 games, 3.25 ERA, 2.8 FIP, striking out 25%, walking 8%, 0.68 home runs per 9. Astros right now are currently 2 games under 500, but are 1 game out of the division, half game out of the wild card. They're right in the thick of things right now. And the issue with this team has been the pitching, especially the starting pitching. They are 29th in baseball an ERA among starters with a 5 ERA among starting pitchers, 4.86 FIP. The bullpen has not been much better, 4.42 ERA, ranking 23rd in baseball. They need pitching. They need people who can go out there and throw. They need people who can go out there and throw successfully. I think Petco's done everything in his power to show that he's good enough to get there. I would not be surprised if within the next month we see Petco pitching for this Astros team. They need to start calling on people right away to help right the ship of this pitching staff because it has been really bad for them so far, and they need to do stuff to fix it. My next guy is from my Cardinals, Luis Castillo, a right-handed pitcher, was signed out in Mexico in 2023, 24 years old, ranked 21st in the system. In AAA this year, he's a reliever, 33 games, 40 innings pitched, 2.43 ERA, 27% Ks, 10% walks, .44 home runs per 9. Cardinals surprised a lot of people this season. They've kind of shocked the world. They hold the third wild card spot right now by just half a game. The bullpen, though, has been the biggest issue. 4.37 ERA, ranking 21st in baseball, while also having the third worst K rate out of the bullpen in baseball. They need guys who can strike people out in the bullpen, and Castillo has proven he can do that. He's a really devastating changeup that gets a lot of whiffs and has a lot of depth to it. He's been absolutely shoving in Memphis so far in AAA. I think he would no doubt get a call really, really soon and be in that bullpen trying to help the Cardinals make a playoff push. My last guy for the Tampa Bay Rays is right-handed pitcher Ty Johnson. Was a part of the Isaac Paredes trade back in 2024. 24 years old, ranked 18th in their system. So far in AAA this year, 44 innings pitched across 9 starts, 2.64 ERA, 32% strikeout rate, only 9% walk rate. The Rays currently sit in first place in the NL East with the game up on New York. But the biggest issue with this team so far has been the bullpen. The starting rotation has been top 3 to 5 in baseball, but the bullpen 4.4 ERA ranks 22nd in baseball, and a 1.41 home runs per 9, ranking 29th out of all bullpens in baseball. They're giving up the long ball too much. Johnson has dominated so far this year. The best thing I like about Johnson, he has been a starter, but I think he could be a bullpen guy. He's 6'6", short arm action that makes his fastball tough to pick up on. With the extension, his mid-90s fastball plays up into the upper 90s, into the lower 100s. Just playing up to that with the extension, with the arm action. He adds in a really good slider. They got a 50% whiff last year on it. I think these two together could be a really good bullpen arm for the Rays coming down the stretch.
I'm going to use that term, the low 100s.
You like that?
I love that you're shining some light on what Ty Johnson is doing. We're talking about a guy who was a 15th round pick by the Cubs. We're talking about a guy that Tampa Bay very obviously and quickly identified as somebody they thought they could do something great with. And oh, by the way, through 42 starts at the minor league level and 59 total games, not just what he's done this year, he has a career 2.68 ERA at the minor league level. That's from A ball all the way to AAA ball this year. I think this kid's ready. I think the stuff is there. I think the timing is right. The Rays have an opportunity here to make a little bit of a run. I would be just shocked if he's not up by a bare minimum right after the All-Star break. It would blow my mind because Johnson shit stinks in a good way. That's right. Every hitter's got to smell it when it goes right past them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Ryan. I think it's always good to highlight some guys that people don't talk about enough. And I like that you gave yourself the stipulations you did because those are reasonable benchmarks to kind of cap yourself at. Jackson, once again, thank you for educating us on things we were not already aware of.
Only other note, Jackson, good pull on Castillo. Even though I thought you were playing homer ball, I forgot that you guys were so close to a wild card spot because even I'm shocked. 16 total walks on the year against 44 strikeouts. Exactly what you said the Cardinals need right now is a guy who can come out of the bullpen and simply make sure that you don't have an opportunity to hit the ball over the fence because you didn't hit it in the first place.
He also has really cool hair. And he looks like
he does.
He has long hair. He just looks like a reliever.
He's destined. He's destined for a Head and Shoulders commercial.
He's like. I mean, this started next to Jason Mott. Like, if you remember Jason Mott for the Cardinals, long hair guy. This is the next one coming up.
Jason Mott, Mike Zunino. None of these guys were on today's bingo card, but you've heard their names, so you're welcome. There you go. All right. We are running through our normal timing here, guys. So we're gonna do a quick hitter on this last one. It was a guy that we felt like needed to be brought up at least really quickly here. Byron Buxton deserves some flowers here, and we want to give him some flowers in our last topic of the day. This guy should be on your MVP radar. It's really, really simple. I'm going to run through a couple of things here with Byron Buxton. 2025 did mark the third time in his career where he eclipsed a total of 100 games played at the major league level. This is a guy who's had a 12-year major league career, so you got to think about that for a second. That only 3 times he's been able to eclipse the 100-game mark. During that time span, he showed us flashes of being one of the best players in all of baseball. In 2026, what has he done so far? Well, he's looking to hit that 100-game mark again, knock on wood. Everybody cross every single finger that you possibly have. Because right now, guys, through only 73 games, Byron Buxton has hit 25 home runs, 41 extra base hits. He's slashing 268, 325, 573, 56 runs scored. He's stolen 7 out of 7 bases when he's tried. He hasn't made a single error in 54 games in center field. The dude was taken number 2 overall, and we all knew why when it happened in 2012. I am so grateful that we are getting to see this type of year from him, and can only hope that we can get another 50 to 60 games of Byron Buxton in 2026.
Do you think that we get a Byron Buxton 2020 back-to-back 2020 season? You think he's got 13 more stolen bags in him?
The answer is yes, but if we don't see it, it just doesn't hurt my feelings. I just want to see the guy play. I know he is an electric runner. I get that it's part of his game, but
yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Swing the bat, right? Like, I would love to see it. I think think we both would, because here's the thing: Byron Buxton is never a question of can he. Byron Buxton has always been a question of will he be there to do it. And I'm just so grateful we're getting to see him do the whole damn thing, because this is ridiculous.
He's currently on pace. He's currently on a 162 game pace to finish second in home runs, first in the AL with 48. Posting a 144 WRC plus and a 5.5 FWAR. And to be honest with you, that's a 5.5 FWAR with like pretty defense in center field, which is not what he's known for. So the likelihood is that comes out probably better than in the longer term of the season, than it ends up being worse. But in center field this season, he's put up 4 OAA and -1 DRS. Not really a great arm. He's going to get a lot more defensive credit around OAA, and I think it'll just be a matter of having those opportunities. But I mean, the 162 game pace is phenomenal right now.
Did you now? Are you going off that pace of what's on the outline?
Okay. No.
So
I'm looking at the actual 162 pace.
Well, then I think the 162 pace is wrong, because I extrapolated it out to 126 games, which is what he played last year, and he was on a 44 home run and 70 extra base pace just for playing 126 games.
You can tell Fangraphs that Fangraphs is wrong on their 162 pace.
Cross multiplication, baby. I did that in high school.
Sure. Yeah, you could use proportions. That's not a bad way to do that math.
It technically isn't wrong. So for the fun of it, on 126 games when we're doing it proportionally, if he was to continue to give us the exact same production that he's given, he would be on pace for that. I'm not saying he's.
My guess is that they go off of some.
It's regression, baby.
Home run per plate appearance with regression over an extended period.
I'm not regressing Byron Buxton. I've already seen him not play enough. This man's
they're regressing
the exact same thing the second half.
They're regressing Kyle Schwarber back to 58 home runs. He just hit 30 before the All-Star break for the second time in his career.
I'm with it. Jackson, any thoughts here while we just go back and forth about how Fangraphs apparently doesn't agree with my proportions?
I've always been a big Buxton guy, and he's always been the if he's healthy. He played 140 games in 2017. From 2018 to 2023, he never got over 100 mark. And it was just always like him and Mike Trout, it seemed like for 4 years straight, were both the MVP leaders in AL after May, and we didn't see him again until like August. And it just makes like baseball is good when Byron Buxton is playing baseball every day. He is good for the MLB. He is good for the sport. He's on a very lovable team. Not a lot of people hate the Twins. It is just good for the sport when Byron Buxton is playing every day. He's such a fun player to watch. I don't care what's going on. Byron Buxton is good for the sport. 25 home runs in 73 games is awesome. I don't care about the proportions. That is a lot of home runs in a short amount of time, which in my advanced analysis is good.
Good analysis. Listen, the Twins are only 5 games under 500. It's an AL wild card that is absolutely up for the Listen, the Angels are only 6 games out of the wild card right now. It is a wild card that is. Jared Carrabis put it perfectly. It's crazy that we're actually going to put AL teams in the postseason this year. The way half of them have been playing.
It should just be Yankees and Rays
It should just be Yankees and Rays. That's it. Just let the Yankees and Rays battle it out for a World Series appearance.
It's Yankees, Rays, and then you just throw the Guardians in there because they're scrappy enough to make it interesting, and everybody else probably goes home.
But they're not even leading their own division. Get out of here with that.
They don't need to. They're the team that sneaks into the playoffs, and nobody wants to face them.
The White Sox are White Sox are scrappier than the Guardians this year.
Yeah,
hey, man, I'd love to see it. I ain't fighting you there. All right, well, we're going to roll through this, guys. Final thoughts this week, if anybody's got any.
I do. I finally have one this week. Can we be done with tarps off? I mean, I'm at the point where, it's worse than the wave, and I already very much dislike the wave. Nothing good ever happens when the home team does the wave. They always do it when their team's pitching, and someone always hits a home run. Ban the wave. Let's get rid of tarps off. Ali Marmol never should have invited those guys down to the locker room. He made everyone believe that they were going to get that treatment. Now it happens in every stadium. I think it's horrendous.
My final thought is I talked about it at the beginning of the show. I'll talk about at the end of the show. Find a baseball card shop or find a baseball card show near you and just go hang out. Talk some
It's
ball.
fun.
Go find some baseball cards. It is the most fun, enjoyable experience ever. If you're a baseball fan, just go find a shop, go find a show, just walk around, look at some cards, talk some ball with people. It's a bunch of 60-year-olds who love baseball more than life itself. Just go have some fun. It's awesome.
I'll add to that for you, Jackson. Any type of card show generally will be not only trading card games, but sports related as well. Yeah. It tends to be a portion of the show. So just because it doesn't say it's sports specific does not mean you won't find a lot related to baseball, basketball, football, etc., and also other things that you just also might be interested in.
Share the podcast with your family, with your friends. Go follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And with that, have a great week.